going to be downwind already of the starboard entry, and they should cross. I mean, you should see a situation here where, you know, we're entering on this side, and the other guys are entering here, and we should see a situation where the boats, you know, sail something like this and cross in front. You'd have to have a, let's see if I can get that guy to stay still. Stay still. Stay still. Needs more magnets. We'll just put a little buoy behind it, like BMW is on their mooring right now, hold it in position. But the idea is that the port entry boat crosses ahead, the other boat jives over, they chase each other a little bit, they jive back to the line, and then, with about 2 minutes to go, before the start, you should see the boats next to each other, and they should start to engage and have a little fight on see who gets which side of the race course. As they come off the line, one boat's going to be on the right, one boat on the left. The long-term situation on the race course might favor one side or the other, and short-term maybe different, maybe the opposite. So it's there's going to be a lot going on. But when that starting gun goes, then you're going to find that you know, all the excitement that we've been following for 2 years is going to become real clear if somebody has an advantage. And with any kind of advantage, you should be able, at that point, to be able to start controlling the race. Yes?
You're Ron Young, Latitude 38. Ed, would you talk a little bit about port tack strategies on entering with this Canton line like this?
Well, there's not a lot of strategy because you're going to cross the other guy, so you don't have to do any initial, you know, tactical situations. You just have to get on over here, and everybody wants to play the game from the right-hand side of the line, and it's a question whether you want to start right or left of your opponent. So what you're going to see is a cross. There we go. So you draw the line here, and then you have this buoy down here. They're actually boats, but you get the idea. Now, this boat is going to start and sail that direction, and this boat is going to start and sail that direction. And they're going to, when they cross each other, they should be this far apart from each other. They can be that far because, in theory, they both go downwind at about the same speed and angle. Now, this boat is going to want to, at some point, turn up a little bit and go towards the starboard ley line. This boat needs to decide if they're going to come down here and follow them, if they're going to come part way and shadow them that way, or if they're going to jive right away. So they've got several options of when they might turn and go that direction. But you're going to see the action move over to this side somewhere, and somewhere down in here, people are going to say, okay, now we're going to turn and go towards the line. And it's going to be, if they want to start to the right, they're going to be slowly coming up this way. And if they want to start left, they're going to be going as fast as they can down here and then up on the ley line and start the race. Every wind speed makes a little different scenario of what you would choose to have happen when you're going to turn back, how easy it is to slow the boat down once you get too close to the line, those sorts of things. And of course, in lighter air, the line is longer in time, so it gives them more playing area. And in stronger winds, that line shrinks down in how much time it takes to sail from one end to the other. You know, this distance from the boat end to the pin end in these boats is just a matter of, you know, it's going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of 30 to 45 seconds. It's not that long. And, you know, even though you look out there and the line looks as long as the Darsena is wide, it doesn't take very long to get there.
What distance wide is that?
It's up to the race committee. They set it every day, and they just
Roughly?
well, I mean, the ones that they've been setting in practice have been, you know, in the 800 meter sort of range, but it can be more or less. It's up to them. It's not a fixed thing.
Did you already had a briefing with the Empire? How close they consider the contact, maybe, or the starboard port cross?
We have, and let me not get too deep into detail because we have some more slides to look at first, but yes, we've met with the umpires. They are amazingly impressed with the equipment, and they recognize the limitations on being able to maneuver the boats in close situations. They don't want to see close situations like we saw before, where the boats got 2 meters apart, and they clearly don't want to see that. And I think the teams are very satisfied with that. If you have a chance again to stand next to either of the boats, and you think about for a moment the perspective of being at the driving station and looking across to the opposite bow and trying to gauge, a couple of meters, you see it's very difficult. The boats are so big that it's just hard to gauge meters at all. Once you see a guy going up the rig, for instance, you start to appreciate the large size of the equipment. So a 2-meter guy going up on the halyard just looks like a little dot.
So
the instruments on board the boat that give you things like time or distance, how accurate are they when presumably the boats accelerate so quickly?
Well, that's what they're there to do, is to determine what the boat is capable of. But what we have not been able to do, neither team has been able to do, is to go out and race under real conditions in a race and find out how accurate the instruments are. The other thing is that the race committee, we're all used to seeing the race committee go out and anchor and be on station and stay there. And so you can go by and ping the corners and know exactly where they're going to be. But in this situation, the race committee boat is actually going to be holding position with its engines, because it's too deep to anchor when they get 30 miles offshore. So both teams realize that, and you have to, again, recognize that there's another level of inaccuracy. So you may, in fact, see starts where a boat is 3 or 4 boat lengths off the starting line, and the people on board are completely satisfied with that, as opposed to the 1 second type position that we tried to get in the old boats, because we knew exactly where the line was, and if you made a mistake, it was only going to be by a couple of meters, not by a boat length or 2. So it's a real challenge.
Does that
set up, because you don't need quite the space on the windward leeward side of things. But you do have this issue of the which way you turn the race course. If the shoreline is over here, for instance. So I'm sure the race committee is going to do their best to try and put the shoreline on this side of the racing area, and then they'll make us turn, depending if the wind's blowing on the north or the south, they'll make us turn the appropriate direction at the mark roundings to keep everything a little closer to shore, so it's more accessible for people to come out and watch. Same deal on the start. You're going to have that offset entry, and a good sized line. It'll look long, but it's not that long in time. On race day, and again, I know that a lot of you know this, but just to review it, the earliest start we can have is 10. The race committee looks at the conditions the night before, and they're communicating with both teams and with the weather teams of both teams, and they're deciding if that makes sense. Yesterday, they thought it was best to hold everybody for a little while, so they postponed. And they went out on the race committee boat and experienced how rough and nasty it was, and they decided that it wasn't appropriate to try and have a race. But that's the earliest start tomorrow. Will be 10 o'clock, for instance. Start procedure we'll get to in just a moment. We talked about the port boat entering from the box. There is no changing of marks, no shortening of course. It's in the deed that you can't do that. You got to go full course once you've started. The only restriction on the whole process is the 7-hour time limit. And we sail these boats for 7 hours, and we don't make it around the course, you will know it's seriously not any wind. So that'll be interesting. Quarter starboard roundings, we just talked about, and of course, the race area last time was only, in the area, in the neighborhood of about 9 square miles that they put the race out in off of Valencia here. And this time, the race diamond itself is a couple hundred square miles, and the racing area that they can put that race diamond in is about 450 square miles. So for the weather teams and for the race committee, it gives them more opportunity to find a place where the conditions are reasonable. And for the weather teams, it creates a huge headache of how to go out and figure out what's going on the race course. Because